Okay, I'm setting stuff up. If you pop in, just say hello. I'm going to show you some stuff I'm working on. But it means I have to have two things running to do this live. It's not my favorite thing to do. Let me get myself logged in so I can watch the chat. So if you pop in, we're going to try something a little different today, which is it's going to be a learning curve for everybody. So just hang on with us all. We're gonna try this and see what happens here. I won't guarantee it'll be something that we do a lot, but it may be something that from time to time we can, just so we know that we can do a kind of a monitor what I'm making video. Been dusting off beads. Let me logged in here. I'm trying to move my stuff around. Let me see here. Okay, yes, I can get in. Let me turn my volume all the way down. Okay, can I see myself? Yeah, just a little bit of a delay. Not that bad, not that bad. Let's log into chat. Okay, I'm propped up to where I can somewhat see what's going on. Okay, we're going to do something a little different here. I've never tried to do this. Let me see, I've got to learn how to place my hands in certain places. Okay, here we go. Okay, first I'll show you a couple things that I have made. Hey, there we go. Hey, whoa. Where am I going? Where am I going? I will eventually get used to this. Okay, here are some earrings that I've made. So these are turquoise and bone beads in filigree. Hi Mary, these are turquoise and filigree, and bear with me as I get used to work in this manner. These are bone beads and pearl. Those are bone bead pearl. And these are my burnt bone beads. Oh, learning this camera. Okay, these are my burnt bone beads with hematite. So I made those yesterday, and then, let's see, from one of my little people that still do some bone carving, but they are specialized things, I got two of these, and I put them on chains yesterday, and they are buffalo bone, buffalo bone carved into turtle and burnt. Aren't those beautiful? I've done a little bit of stuff. I'm just still in flare. Today is better. It started getting better last night, and so I've been able to function a little bit more. I've been in kind of like migraine land and a lot of swelling in my joints, and just, I'm in flare. I'm in flare. Yeah, Mary, I don't make a ton of money at this. I just enjoy having something to keep me busy, you know. Okay, so what we're gonna do is, I think I've got this to where y'all can watch me do this. Let me double check on where I have everything placed. Learning 2 camera angles, Lord. And keep this still, then I know that y'all can see what I'm doing. Come toward me a little bit. So what I'm going to do is just try to put a couple more things together, and I'm going to show you a couple things that I've got to work on. I got these keychains. These keychains are really neat. They're just a big, basically barbell. They unscrew. You unscrew them. and you can slide, I'm going to probably do drilled bones, drilled antler, and some beads, and going to make keychains. I just thought it was neat. I just thought it was pretty neat. I've never made these before, but, oh dear, can I get this back on now? I've never made these before, but they were something that intrigued me, so I thought I'm going to try. Because I can drill holes in everything that I'm working on, for the most part. For the most part. Okay, so what we're going to try to do today, some beads down here already loose, and I've got some items that I need to put together. These tiny little screws that you see right here, that have, it's eye hooks, it's little circles with a little screw. They have to be drilled into the antler pendants I'm making and the antler, or the antler earrings. I have to wait for a really great eye day to do this because today's not that. So we're going to see what I can work on for a moment here. I've got some stuff that I need to get placed on something. I've got other stuff coming in, but for the most part, I'm trying to make a few items. And if I make a pair of earrings that I truly, truly love, I'm going to keep them. But right now, I'm kind of playing with all the beads and stuff that I got. And I still have stuff in some bags left over from last year that I'm still working with. Let's see here. I'm going after these two sea glass beads. I love sea glass. I don't know what it is about sea glass, but I love sea glass. Probably one of my favorite things to work with. I really love sea glass. I don't know what made me fall in love with it so much, but I really enjoy sea glass. And I just don't get the feeling like many people really like sea glass. We're going to be doing some resin work too in a few days, but for right now, I'm trying to work with what I have and not be impatient, because I'm terribly impatient. Things to arrive immediately when I order them and I find a good vendor. I'm like, get here now, because I'm still trying to learn new vendors and trying to find new people that can replace Curtis, and I'm having such a hard time replacing Curtis. I do, but I'll have to get it set up. This was a spur of the moment thing. I did order these bone beads. These are lighter and just a little bit more uniform than the others that I got. I don't know which ones I like the best yet. We'll see. I don't know. There's this little jewelry stand to kind of corral everything as I make things. Throw those in there. And let's see. I'm using these head pins as well, but I'm using these bead caps at the end to keep them on. To keep them on the beads that I put in there. So you have to kind of filter, you just filter through them and see which ones you want to use. And then I've got some just faceted beads, and I've got some copper, and I've got some other stuff floating around here too, but this is primarily what I'm working with today. I do like the copper, but I'm going to have to use them as accents. I don't have the copper hardware right now, which honestly is not a big deal. I mean, but I'm one of those that when if I use copper as the main thing and not just an accent, I try to put all copper in and use the copper hardware as well. But we'll use them as accent pieces today. It's not a big deal. It's not a deal breaker. Not a deal breaker. Hey, I'm glad you made it. I'm just popping on. I'm still in like a very stressful flare state, so I'm not doing a whole lot. But I wanted to pop on, and everybody's always like, we never get to see you make jewelry. Well, it's because it's a tedious process. It's one that I don't always look for. So, always, and I didn't really have a setup, and now that I've got this little doohickey, I'm going to try to let you see a little bit more of when I'm working on stuff. And it may still not be, you know, satisfactory for many of you, but some of you may enjoy it. I'm going to have to do some resin work later in the week, though, and I don't even look forward to that. I do not like to do resin work for the simple fact that it is just time-consuming. I'm digging in my beads, so hang on. But if I work with the natural chip gems and stuff, I have to do resin work. There's really no way around it. So I try to save the resin work. I try to save it for days when I have really good eyesight and I'm in a really good mood. Because resin work, here are, there's some wooden beads. What is this that I have my hand on? Oh, these are those weird birds. I'll show you in just a second. Got some round earrings here. Just the, you know, normal round. They have the breakaway so that you won't rip your ear. I always use the ones that have the breakaway stress points, because my fear is somebody's going to buy earrings and then they're absolutely going to rip their ear off. That is my fear. I do not know why I have that fear, but I do. Those have, I have shell. So we'll put some shell maybe on a couple. And I do have some faux bone work. So for like people that like the look of bone but just can't stomach it, I do have some faux bones. So I try to make a little bit for everybody. So if, you know, if they really just can't stomach the thought of wearing bones. I do have a couple of faux items, and I mark them as faux. I don't want anybody to think it's actually my real work, because it's not anything that I really like, but I do try to give people options. Okay, let's see what we can come up with here today. I've got those can go there. The shell can go right there. I've got a couple types of shell I'm working with. And birds that I said were cute were these, they look like plague doctors. They look like plague doctors. I think they're cute. A lot of people really do like these, and I can understand why. I think they're cute too. The problem is when I use them, I normally have to wire them completely on myself. And so I normally use them on, you know, specific items. But since we have some that are the round ones, we might be able to make a pair. Might be a little punk rock pair of faux earrings here. Let's get two of these out. I use all stainless parts unless I can get the titanium covered stainless steel. Then I use the titanium. I rarely ever do silver plated because you never know what's under the silver plate. So I try to use all stainless steel. So we've got these rings. I haven't made any rings yet. So let's see what we can do with these rings. Lord, I should have got better glasses. I really like of putting the plague doctor birds on this. But he's going to have to be banked by something kind of just as strange. And I do have these faux snake vertebrae. Let me get these out and show you. So these are fake snake vertebrae. Just one of those weird things that I happened to crawl on. I was like, I gotta have that. I think this would be a good match for the little plague doctor. I'm going to call it plague doctor even or something. I don't know. These are very simple. They do have the breakaway point up here, so you're not going to rip your ear off. They do have a certain stress level, and then they break. And I tell people, you know, you've got to be careful with them. Got to take care of them. I do crimp them, but they have a pound that they will pull apart on. And it's a safety feature, and I would rather have that safety feature as to not. Oh. I think these are Labradorites. I'm not completely sure, but I do believe these are my Labradorite beads. If you heard it chunk when it fell right then, it makes me think it's Labradorite. That was a heavy bead, y'all. And like I said, I'm still a flare, not doing the best. My fingers and stuff are not going to be working correctly. I will get the light and stuff set up before we do this again. This was off the top of my head, say howdy, because I've been basically not doing the best this week. I'm going to put a bead cap on that. Let's put a bead cap on that. Which one do we want? We have to have two if we put one. So this is where you have to dig through everything and make sure they matches with my eyesight on certain days. That's half the problem. I think I picked two right off the get-go that match. How did I do that? Okay. And yes, I put nails on when I probably shouldn't have. Okay. We're going to let that bead be covered by that bead cap. Just because I can't finish off this guy's little ring, but I can finish off the bead, and I think that kind of makes it look a little bit better. Let's see, I need to find some more of these. I need my tweezers up here, y'all. You think with nails I could pick anything up, but you can't. You cannot. That one matches. This is the tedious. We've got four. Okay. I stick it to my finger. I pick my finger up, and it normally sticks to my finger. Now, when I make these, I'm like, what would I wear, and how much bling would I need? And y'all, I will wear big jewelry. I'm a big girl, so I can wear big jewelry. But I do try to think, you know, somebody else wearing these. Let's see, I want a green one, and I want to put Labradorite on all these. But I want to put Labradorite on all these, but I want the beads to match, because Labradorite has a pattern when you tumble it. And you kind of want to get the same colors for everybody when you're making a set of something. Oh, good Lord. There it is. And when I get done with this, what I'll do is I'll put a little drop of resin behind the bone to pin them from that direction, and then what I'll do is I'll put a little drop of resin on the front and pin them that way. And then they will kind of be stuck, so that if it does pull out of your ear for the safety, it won't throw beads absolutely everywhere. And then I crimp this up here so that it will still fall apart in case you get. Now, my big fear is that somebody's going to get their ear stuck on something. So if you look from the front, you'll have vertebrae, Labradorite, bead cap, bead cap. The vertebrae goes onto the bead on the one side, so I really like that. I don't want to waste my bead caps. But the bead caps kind of hide the dangle from this, and I really like that. So we're gonna push him back in there and let him be crimped. Then we're going to make his mate. Okay. And I've got to drill my earrings as soon as I have a better hand day. I'm sure y'all can having the best hand day today. Let me see. Oh, let's see if I can watch the chat here. I used to not wear any jewelry, and I do now. Hi, Sally. How you doing? I've had 2 migraines in the last couple of days, and last night was a bad one. I'm just now starting to recover, and I thought I've got to be useful for a few minutes because I have not felt useful. Well, David got home from work, and then he promptly went somewhere else. Do I know where he went? Heck no. Let's see. We had a dark Labradorite. Where did I put that? There it is. I want a dark Labradorite first. Definitely going to have to get that other light in here. These Labradorites, it's hard to see where it's drilled because the Labradorite is such a deep color. It's hard to see where it's drilled. They're really pretty though. Okay, got that on. Now you get your bead cap. I try to make it stick to my finger and come up with my finger. Doesn't always work. Now then, where's my other little plague doctor? There he is. I do have chip stuff and, what do they call them? Cabochons? Is that how you say that word? I don't know. I do have a bunch of that. We're going to be doing some resin work later this week. When it gets warm enough that I can crack the window. Now I need a lighter Labradorite to match the other one. Okay. I'm trying to make everything match, though sometimes it's actually quite impossible to make everything match. It's still hard to build. They're tumbled quite nice, but it's still hard to see where they're drilled. Good Lord. I just saw a huge thing. Hang on, I'll read it. I saw a huge message come up. I've got my phone over here to watch the messages, and I've got my iPad rolling. So, y'all. Don't know how many times we're actually doing this. Next time I may just put it up and then respond to stuff after I get done. But I wanted to try to hang in there today. Okay, that one actually got some grip to the wire, and I don't mind that at all. Now we're going to put the other bone on here. And I'm not, oh, got a fly in here. I am not making a ton of money off of these. I give them to David, and I basically get to craft some more, because if he makes money, he'll buy me more craft stuff. And I can't wear all this jewelry, but I do enjoy making it. Now we got to get back in here. There we go. And there's our second one. So I'm going to wire these up on just shepherd hooks and do a resin dot behind the bone so that they won't fall off if they do come apart for safety purposes. And that'll be our first pair of earrings. But I'm going to do the resin work before I put the shepherd hooks on. But I'm going to hang them up here. I'm going to rehold them. I'm going to hang them up here. And mine is rocking on something. I do not know what it's rocking on. A bead. Hey, Elizabeth. Beads. It's rocking on beads. I'll put the rest of these in here. Okay. Okay, let's see if I can get this flat again. Here we go. Okay, now these pins are a pain in the, but you know, it is what it is, and sometimes you have to use these head pins, and I use them. I don't particularly enjoy it, but I use them. They're not my favorite things. And this is a really slow event for me, mostly because of my eyesight, but also because I have to fight mines and my muscles that are not wanting to work today. Let me catch up on the chat really quickly. Oh, Lord, Sally. You get feeling better, honey. We'll all be here. Don't worry about it. Yeah, there would have to be a bead hiding somewhere to me crap put in there. Yeah, that's normally how it goes. Okay, so normally when I start out with these, I dig down here and I've got some little tiny silver beads, and I normally start with those on the very bottom just as a stopper. That's a hematite. I've got some smaller little hematite beads. And so what I use, I put another one just the same up there. I like the hematites. Then I'm going to go in here and I'm going to look again for matching bead caps. But I think what I'm actually going to do is just use round spacers. And I'm going to see how they work first, because what I'm wanting to do is actually drop a piece of shell on there. use these, I won't be able to put very much else on this because these are actually about as heavy as you want to go if you're going to wear something on your ear. But I want to see if those spacers will grip this. And I don't, that one's like almost got a dip in it. Well, no, maybe it's just natural that way. I don't know. I don't like it though. We're going to go for another one. Picky. I'm picky. Just a little picky. But that's okay. Oh, Lord, yes. Yeah, we're definitely going to have to get me a better light in here. Hang on. Find where it's drilled. There, that's where it's drilled. Okay. Yeah, that held that. That held that pretty good. I'm not mad at that. It's still got movement, but it held it firm. I like that. Now when I bend this wire, I'm gonna have to up close to my face. I apologize, but I'm blind, and using my hands and wire nippers, it's just difficult right now. And I'm gonna put another piece of hematite on the top as well, which means I have to find two. There we go. I'm really liking this hematite. It's fairly heavy too, but if you just remember how much you've got on there and try to not go above a certain amount, and it's not as heavy as it was going to be, but I really like the marbling in these beads, and they're so natural and pretty and so many colors. I really like them, so I thought let's make some. Now then, let me curve this while y'all are hanging in there for a second. Feel better, Sally, honey? I hope you get to feeling better. I've had 2 migraines since the fire and went into flare. Bruised myself horribly somehow. I'm not quite sure. I must have run into something in the process of around trying to get vehicles moved and get ready for the fire department to be here. I must have run into something and not noticed. And I have horrible, it looked like black velvet on my stomach where it bruised so deeply. It looked like black velvet. And it's just now starting to turn other colors and heal nurse out. But I was like, I'm okay. I was like, it's just my body. It does things. It doesn't like me. But it kind of freaked my nurse out. And she's not been with me super long. She's a really good nurse, but she's not been with me very long, so she's not seen a lot of what my RSD can do when it really gets going. And so bless her heart, you know, it kind of freaked her out. And I also put a resin drop on the tops of these where I bend them over and anchor them to the bead to where they won't fall out. Bend that over. And then I'm going to put a little resin drop in there and anchor it to the bead and cure it. And that way, what I make stays put. And then I've got my jump beads over here. So we've got to open a jump bead, which is not my favorite thing to do. I use my nails to find the breaks in the jump beads. Anybody else do that? I didn't have nails on yesterday. And I honestly, I struggle with them, but I think I struggled more without them. There it is. I had to go way around for that one. That was bad. You only ever put these sideways, y'all. Don't ever twist them around. And put that on there and then get your shepherd hook. I'm multitasking. This may not work out well. The one time I actually closed the bag, I need in it. Slide your shepherd hook on. Push your jump bead back and then crimp it if you need to, very lightly. I'm going to line it up first. Very lightly. Oh, I need to crack a window. So every time I get on here, I get so hot. It's from where I focus, and I'm using muscles that are struggling. Like my muscles are like, it's like they're in quicksand, and I have to use like 3 times the focus to make them do normal things. Now I'm feeling, see if I can still feel that slot, because I may need to crimp it tighter. And like I said, I put a drop of resin right there, and I cure it down in the little bead, just a tiny little drop, so those will permanently affix. And then you've got, it's got movie spin. These still spin. I like that. This is two-sided, so either way it dangles, you're going to get the same look. And the hematite just makes the silver pop. I really think these are very pretty. I may have to make me a pair of those. I don't know. I like lots of stuff that I make. And then I'm like, oh, I'm going to make me some of those. And then I end up making them all before I realize I'm going to use all of my product. And then I don't make any. So now we're just going to repeat that and make one just like it. Now I do make asymmetrical earrings on occasion. I find that they have to find very specific homes. Which is okay. But many for that reason. And it's just because they have to find a specific person. And sometimes, you know, I don't want David to have to pack these around for, you know, to a year's worth of markets to find one special buyer. And so I try to make, you know, if I think he's going to be taking it, I try to make stuff that I think will resonate with lots of people. Hallelujah, I got that one on. The second one always goes so much faster because I know what I'm doing. Put that on there. And that was easy peasy. I just love the colors. I love the colors in those stones. And the movement on these. And hematite. I love that. These are, you could have these in your ears and totally fidget with them all day. You know, even after I hook that one up there, this will still spin freely. Four of the five beads will still spin freely, and I would somebody to be doing this all day. That's just how my brain works, y'all. Let me crimp this over and get it going back down in the bead. I have to, bear with me, I'm blind. You have to let the blind lady work up close to her face. And of course I've had some migraines, and that does not help. My migraines are really affecting my vision lately. And I've called my eye doctor to let him know, because I have Graves' disease, so I have to report all that crap. And nobody seems to be upset about it but me. You know, we're just kind of getting through. If it's something to be worried about, eventually somebody will say, oh, Elizabeth, you need to be worried. Of course, I have also found out that doctors don't tend to worry unless there's money involved. And for anybody asking about my neighbor, the Red Cross did link up with her, and the Hope Foundation did get them clothing. So they have received help, and the community is still helping. She does have insurance on that trailer, so their hope is to clean it up and put something else there. I don't know what time frame we're going to look at. We're, you know, looking at that right now is, you know, it's not the nicest thing, but, you know, at the same time, they didn't have control over that, you know, the fire, so I can't be upset about that. But she swears she's going to rebuild or put a new home on there. Well, probably a second-hand new to her, but still, she'll have to get it from somewhere. Okay, open your joining. I wish my hands worked today, y'all. I apologize. The days that I have really bad flare issues, it really makes everything else so much more easier. This is like the slowest thing that I do is make these earrings, and it's just because of my eyesight. It is 100% what it is. It's just my eyesight, y'all. And I do have a couple things in that I'll show you. They just came in about an hour ago. There we go. That took way too much effort. Just saying. Now, I threw one down here. Where did it go? Hello? Where did you go? Are you? Got something in a couple minutes ago, but I have to be careful how I use it. I have to make sure that I use them in the way that they'll get the most use to make the most items so that David can take them with him. He didn't get a lot of fox this year trapping. It's not a fox year. Sometimes it's a bobcat. Last year was a bobcat year. But you can kind of tell what animals are struggling and which ones are super plentiful in the area just by, you know, you can look at the Trapper Shack and see, you know, what they've got strapped to the wall. That's what is doing great this year. And it was a coyote year, basically. It was a coyote year. And so I thought, well, I wanted some foxtails for some really giant, I'm squeezing that barely together. You have to be so careful so you don't over squeeze and the integrity of the jump bead. But I needed some foxtails to make some fox dangles. Those are pretty. And I found old stoles that somebody had tarped and put the tails up for sale. And I was like, oh, well that's handy. Now I'm going to take one of these. If I can get my scissors there. Take one of these and I'm going to cut 2 little slits. Like this. I think 2. Hang on, I have 2. Do I? No, it's just 1. It's just thick. And I cut 2 little slits like this. And then I open it back up. And they normally stay. But I'll have to remember to resin these. But I'm going to go ahead and do this because I can resin them and just leave the tag hanging out of the little light. And I push them down over to where the bulb of the shepherd hook kind of has to squeeze a little bit, and they normally stay. I lose less of them this way. Like I have to renegotiate fewer when I do this than when I don't. And then this peels off right here. I feel like I'm not even able to use my hands today because of my disorder. And then you just stick them together. And I take the middles out. And you have a little play. Those turned out really pretty. I'm okay with those. I just have to put them in the pile to be resined. So I'll put them in the resin. I've got a little cup that I'm putting my one I have to resin in. Let's see. Ouch. Also, for the rather adventurous, I have faux teeth. Like I said, I have some people that just can't bring themselves to wear real bone. I can't teach them the value of what the bone brings to the table. It's like wearing real gems. And what I kind of do is I go through and look for 2 that are a little bit more alike. And I will put on these big rings and make somebody faux teeth earrings. Now, I will have real tooth earrings. I will have real antler earrings. But, you know, for those that just can't bring themselves the real stuff, then, you know, options. There are options so that you can still look like somebody that is all punked out. I guess that's what I want to say. Yeah. I really like these. Now, I have never placed these in jewelry. Let me catch up in the chat. I'm just scrolling, not even reading. Oh, Mary, I'm going slow because my hands are not quite right. Oh, I have trouble. When I first sit down with the beads to look at the patterns, like in the colors, it takes me, like last night, it took me an hour, I think, to make 3 pair. And it was because I was struggling with how I wanted them configured. Yeah, I just had to play. Build a cabin. I actually used to build cabins when I worked at the Wilderness Boot Camp. No, nothing on Temu yet. And honestly, I think the tariff issue will probably end very quickly. I think China's just being a butthole. Hi, I've got this set up. I'm going live, but I've got my iPad filming me, and then I've got my phone going so I can read the chat. David said hello, y'all. I've never used these, and I don't know if it would be a good idea because they're very brittle. But I use them in some wind chimes and sun catchers I do, and I love them. But they are, like, you have to baby these things. Whoever would get them would have to be nice to them. So I don't know if it's something I want to do. Now, I've got some that live outside that have lived for a couple years, but, like, you just put the right amount of pressure and they will snap. But I love them. I love these. And they're really pretty. If you layer them, they're really pretty. And I've not layered any yet this year, so let's look at a layered one here. We'll do another pair, and then I'll show you what's in the box. What's in the box, man? Okay. Okay, now I want to play on colors and shapes. So, I'm going to break this one open here. Oh, thank you. Pull this one open, and let's see. Well, just to show you what the teeth look like on here. They dangle, and you can put like a bone, you can put like a bone colored bead, not a bone bead, but a colored bead on either side, and it looks like the real teeth with bone beads, although the real teeth are not hardly as big. But you know, you find some young kids that really enjoy wearing the weird stuff, and you know, I wear weird stuff. I'm not going to judge them. Let's make one of these. I wear stuff that people go, excuse me. I wore pants one day. My mother said, well, if you needed pants, I could have bought you some. And I was like, what? She's like, all the holes. And I said, Mom, they're in style. I said, you can't buy them now without holes in them. Okay, let's match these stupid little things up. This is what takes matching everything up. But I guess my mother thought I was just, you know, couldn't afford jeans. I was like, oh, Mama, these came this way. And they were torrid. They were like expensive torrid jeans. I was like, no, they came this way, Mom. Those are very close, but not quite. This is my least favorite part of the process because I'm blind. Ooh, these are like, okay, I'm going to use these because these are like a twisted rose. It looks like kind of like a rose petal twisted like that. That'd be a nice juxtaposition between the faux bone. Put that on there. And let's see, I'm going to use a copper bead. Got to get some raw material in there somehow for these people that won't wear bones. I tell you what, getting these boogers on here. Okay, there we go. Put your tooth on. Your fake tooth. This is a faux tooth, y'all. Don't freak out. Put your faux tooth on. And let's put another. Hang on. I'm going to nitpick for a minute. There's another one. There's another one. I get nitpicky sometimes. There's another one. Okay, we'll move right along so you can see one finished one at least. I'm going to put another bead cap on the back of this bead. Just looks better. Basically covered the whole thing up. Let's put 2 beads. Hi. That was the weirdest thing you've ever said. He's in a weird mood. Oh, don't you? Oh, it fell. Doggone it. Okay, we're going to use 2 copper. Because it hides it otherwise. And all I'm trying to do is build a background for the tooth. That's all I'm doing, is building a background for the tooth. There we go. Gosh, my hands aren't working. My hands aren't working. Slide that on. I really need tweezers. Slide that on. Okay, that's a little bit better. That's a little bit better. I don't know. Okay, let's do this. See, this is the process when I haven't worked with it yet. This is the process I go into. This is where I really annoy David to death. Because I'm like, no, let's do this. No, look at that. No. And then he's like, just make something. But it's a tedious process, especially with something I have not dealt with yet. The beads I have been working with between feather drops and all that, I kind of know how they look when they're together. And I kind of know what I want. And so I can very easily create it. But if I've not been working with, it takes me a minute. Okay, and then finish up with another fake snake bone. So everything on here is fake except for the copper. It's got real copper. We're going to get something for them. Have a benefit from at least. And then we're going to put it back in there and cinch it up. Oh, Lord, I'm blind. I've had too many migraines and too much crap going on. There we go. There we go. Okay, now then. Let me see if I can get it. So we've got the fake vertebrae. It looks like a Celtic knot or rose petal braid, and then the copper, and then the fake tooth. And these definitely get you noticed. Which may be what they're going for. I don't know. Hey, I ain't gonna judge. These are definitely loud. Definitely loud. Definitely loud. Let's make its mate. Let me catch up on the chat for just a second. I don't think tariffs are going to hurt because he's playing a game of chicken, and I get why he's doing it, because if you look at, let's just roll your britches up, it's going to get deep for a minute. If you look at the classes in the middle class is basically gone, and the middle class went by the wayside. They did the free trade, which everybody thought was going to be a great thing. You know, free trade sounds like a great thing, but what free trade meant was that everybody gets to make their own rules, but we can trade with every nation. Well, it sounds great on paper. In theory, it sounds awesome. But when you go and look at, the tariffs that the U.S. has been paying, well, what it did with the tariffs, it made the U.S. actually go and create factories in those places rather than keeping the factories in America and just paying the tariffs to sell them. So then we lost a lot of our industry, a bunch of our industry, because people, put that on wrong, because, the factories were willing to pay the tariffs, so they just put their businesses over there, and they just, absorb the business move, and we lost all of our factories and a lot of our, a bunch of our middle-class jobs. And so if you look at how the classes have changed in the last, 30, 40 years, there is no middle class anymore because there's no middle class opportunities. And factories don't want to stay here. They don't want to pay tariffs, so they just go and start building products, and they just move their whole companies over there because it's more lucrative for them to build and sell over there rather than to ship and pay the tariffs into those countries, because the tariffs those countries have on us are pretty stupendous anyway. We've always kind of been the whipping boy for tariffs, but the way we've kind of finagled it is that we have the reserve monetary world, with our dollar, so it was like the secondary most powerful finance, in the world, so they would kind of flex, and they would want us there, so they would get a little bit of an inclination to go and their factory there, and the country would be like, we'll give you this, this, and this, but they just didn't want to pay those tariffs all the time. So all the rest of the world really got enriched. So the middle classes in the rest of the countries, flourished. They got, and it was still cheaper than in America, so the businesses got, I cannot pick that up, the businesses got, a double boost, because it was still cheaper than paying an American worker, and they didn't basically have to feel bad, and they weren't being held accountable, for, having a living wage or not, because those countries they just don't care. I mean, I hate to bust anybody's international world finance cherry, but that's just the truth of the matter. They just don't care. And so the middle class evaporated from here, while the other classes everywhere else have really built up. And so we don't, that's why we've got more college students coming over here on visas. Because, well, guess what? They can afford college now. We can't. Plus, they get a huge boost to come here and go to school here. So we basically, in the world of free trade, what we did was sell ourselves out and make America the whipping boy of the financial district and the industrial district worldwide. We have no power anymore, and we don't have a middle class. If we do develop a middle class in this nation again, in 20 years, our economy is going to buckle. Our nation is going to be crippled. We're going to lose everything. There's nothing to keep us thriving. No one's having any children anymore. There's going to be no workers to fill in for Social Security where we need it. It's just going to be a really bad event. And he's trying to bring them to the table and say, hey, y'all have really gotten away with this for a long time, but what we actually need businesses back in our nation. We need equal tariffs. So if you've been putting tariffs, well, we're going to have tariffs on you. And these countries go, no, 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 you've never put tariffs on us before, or we've had very small tariffs. Well, they've had like 3 and 4 times the amount on it. Well, you know, turnaround's fair play. That's all I got to say. But he's using it as a bargaining chip to bring them to the table and basically correct the market and correct the class issue we have going on in America so that we start to get a middle class. Because if we don't have a middle class, listen, I know everybody, you know, all these rich people are worried about the market. Well, the market self-corrected a lot today. As soon as Israel came to the table, and, you know, now the EU's being a little turd, which, listen, y'all don't do anything good but cheese, so hush. But I think as soon as everybody kind of realizes what's going on, they'll be like, oh. And once they see the turnaround in a few years, like, here's the thing, it's going to get bad before it gets better. But I would rather it get bad in my time than in my grandbaby's time. And that's where I come from. Like, I would rather feel than my grandchildren feel the pain. So, sure, let's correct it now so that by the time my grandbabies are old enough to want to get a job, have a life, buy a home, make a life, you know, they'll be able to. Because right now, you know, these younger kids are not able to. They're just not able to. The last 2 years, you know, David and I have struggled. The last year has been heck, y'all. And a lot of it is just because our industry has left us. Why? Because they're out for themselves. So when you hear them whining on the social media and on the news, hey, they're whining because they're not going to be able to pocket as much money. They'll get over it. Walmart was like, during the epidemic, they were like, oh, but we're going to keep items down. Walmart, in 2 years, netted $9 billion more. You didn't keep prices down, Walmart. Sam Walton's rolled over smudging his grave. He's probably already in China. But, you know, we kind of look at these things because we cannot keep playing this game of economic chicken. You know, it's just not going to last. And without a middle class, you know, your nation is going to go by the wayside. People are not going to have children. And then people are not going to have workers coming into the workforce. We're going to not have enough people paying in for Social Security. It's just going to be a huge issue. And I don't understand how people don't know that. And they shouldn't charge these things. Okay, well, look at what the other places charge us and what they charge each other. This is not a new thing. We were just, you know, low dog on the totem pole. And I think what it was our politicians were playing nice that way so that they could get in there and make some money. Well, listen, we're not doing that anymore, politicians. Y'all gonna have to suck it up. Y'all gonna have to suck it up and get a job and stop milking the social teat. We're done. We're over it. And I you know, he's trying to correct this, and I see why he's doing it. Like, I've been worried about this for a long time. And he's trying to get it back to where you can have a parent stay home with children. You can put away for retirement, buy a home, send your kids to college, you know, and still know that, you know, you're doing okay, you know, back like it used to be before everybody got so goddamn greedy. And I appreciate him for doing this. I really do appreciate him for doing it. But it doesn't mean it's not going to hurt. Now, it probably hurts me less because I'm poor to begin with, so I don't really feel, nothing changes. You know, we're barely kicking by anyway, so nothing really changes for the poor people. We're always suffering. But now these people that are, you know, might be losing money immediately in the market. Okay, well, sit your butt down and chill out and give it a couple minutes, and I bet you recoup those monies. Just chill. But it's very hard to make people understand that. And, you know, knee-jerk reactions are kind of what has reigned in this nation for a long, long time. And, boy, it's not done much for us, has it? But, you know, and I think he sent 50 people that were here on student visas back because they were caught basically doing terroristic things. And I'm okay with that. Like, hey, if you get a privilege to come to our nation, behave yourself. You know, appreciate the nation's trying to educate you. If our students go across seas, guess what? They're subject to all their laws, and they have to behave themselves too. So I don't understand why people are getting so all fired upset, because I'm like, this is just normal. This is just normal. I'm going to put some more colors on here. but you can't make everybody see sense. You just can't. Yeah, I prefer the real stuff too. I always try to have a couple of options, but like 99.9% of everything I make is real. Everybody said hi to Dave. Bless his heart. He's trying to get back there and get cleaned up from work. I wear my jewelry. Like, I have pieces I still have from high school. I'm one of those too. I keep up with them too. Hi, simple girl. How you doing? Yeah, copper. If I can't get anything else on somebody, I'll put copper on them. I really try. Yeah, the people that accepted a cable, he immediately froze the tariffs. Why? Because it's a bargaining chip. It's a bargaining chip to say, hey, you know, we can treat you the way you've been treating us, but if you come to the table and work with us, we'll talk it out. And, you know, hey, I'm not mad at the man. We've needed it for a long time. And if they further figure out that our flipping politicians are not going to go and screw around in their countries, send their kids over to be on every energy board and all that crap, then maybe they'll be like, oh, we're just straight up going to do business. We're going to stop this good old boy crap. Yes, that's awesome. Let's just straight up do business. I like that. I like that stack. It's kind of weird. Can you see it? Hang on. It's on a delay, which is really with my mind. There we go. I like this stack. It's on a little bit of delay, but I like this stack. It's kind of top heavy instead of bottom heavy. I just like that for some reason. I don't know why. I might put another little turquoise one at the top. Let's see how many I have left. Yeah, I've got enough. Okay, we'll put another turquoise one at the top. Probably could have waited till tomorrow to put my nails on. That might have made it easier. Probably. But, you know, but a lot of people are not looking long term. They're just looking at knee-jerk reactions, what's going on right now. Listen, if you've got grandbabies, you start looking, you know, when you're dead and gone, you start looking, how's the world? What can I do to make it better now? So that long term, it's going to benefit them. That's what I'm doing now. So I see what he's doing. I understand we've needed it done for a long time. Okay, I'm going to crimp this, so give the blind lady just a minute. I got to bend my wire and turn it over and stuff it back down the other side. That sounded really lovely, didn't it? This is the hardest part of jewelry making. It's getting everything lined back up and fed back down the other end. Let's see if I can get this. Doesn't help that I've had 2 migraines in the past couple of days. And y'all, it was just the stress of everything I went through. My body, stress used to not bother me at all. Stress was just like, you know, I could Clint Eastwood through anything. You know, and now I'm like, and, you know, it just is what it is. My body does not handle it well more in this disorder. It really messes with me. It's not fun. Okay, let's see if we can get this one on a hook. And then I'll do the next one after I show you these first. I want to show you what I got. And it's all from old vintage stoles that have been pieced out. And I'm fine with that. I don't care. You know, because when I get those, I piece them out too. So I don't care that somebody is taking them apart, because I take them apart too. They just, you know, half the battle's done for me right there. Find you split. This is the hardest part for a blind lady. There we go. You pop a nail off. But if you've listened to me harp for a couple years, you've known that I've said they're going back to a serfdom, where, you know, we had the really rich people, and then you had the serfs that, you know, took care of the land, and you know, basically were highly thought of by the, you know, kings and queens that needed them to do the lower level jobs and needed them to keep the land going and the crops going. And I was like, they're going back to this, and it's not good. It's not going to be a positive thing, because the lower we slide down the importance roster, you know, the less they're going to offer us in the way of health care and rights. And, you know, people don't always understand that. So I'm glad to see someone trying to correct it, even though, you know, we've become such an instant gratification society that, you know, most of the people in it can't understand what he's doing. I get it, and I am very appreciative of what he's trying to do, and I hope and pray that it works, because I got grandbabies, and I don't want them to have the struggle that I've had my life. You know, I watched my mom and dad struggle, and then I started off doing really well, and then it changed. And it changed even when I was working full-time for the freaking government. And it's just hard to survive. Oh, I dropped that. Where did it go? It was just really hard to survive. And I had one of the cushy jobs. And it just, in over a decade, our insurances and stuff went up 17%. But we only ever got a 1.5% raise. So I was making less money being a very tenured employee than I was when I first came into the job. And that's hard to swallow when you busted your hind end and you had to have at least a 4-year degree to be there. We're not paying you to pursue that degree. And, you know, and it was sad, because then you had a very important job where you changed people's lives, but because of the pay, there were not very many good people really attract jobs. So you worked with some of the, oh Lord, worst people in the world. You know, that just really should not have had a job that important. So it was a struggle. It was a struggle. And it was just not a good experience. Just say that. That's about the nicest way I can say it. It was not a good experience. Now hang on, I'm going to have to crimp this more. I can feel it. My eyes are leaving me, y'all. They're leaving me today. I'm having a really hard time with my eyes. I've just had a really hard day the last couple of days. I really honestly was afraid I was going to end up in the ER around the Saturday. Right after we did that live, it just seemed like everything fell apart. I was struggling, but then everything just kind of fell apart. And my body just was like not functioning. So now I'm doing a little bit better. I've got to get that crimped good enough because it's going to fall off like that. Hang on. The blind lady struggling. Hang on. But we have let money and instant gratification run this country far too long. So I'm glad that they're thinking about, oh wait, if we don't correct this in 60 years, our nation's not going to exist. It's going to bankrupt. We're going to fall to the wayside. We're going to get picked off by the healthiest countries. And America done. Why? Oh, because we were all, you know, our eyes bigger than our bellies. We wanted everything we saw, and we couldn't think 10 years ahead. We couldn't think 20 years ahead. Okay, there's that one. That was an effort. Let me tell you, that one took a moment. That's turquoise, 2 different kinds of bone beads, and tracers. And I'm blind now. My eyes are really struggling, so I may have to make its mate tomorrow. Let me show you this jewelry stuff, and let me show you what I got. Let me move this and set it down, and then I'll be done. I won't harass you too awful long tonight. Okay, ouch. It's in this box. Let me open the box. hadn't even unboxed it yet, y'all. Hadn't even cut the tape yet. Just waiting for y'all. Oh, they got everything in here. Is my boxes in here? Oh no, this isn't the boxes. That's okay. I can still show you what I got in this one. I don't think they're in there. Hang on. Let me look at the chat for a minute. Sam Walton would be so unenamored with his grandchildren. I'm just going to say that. Mary, what will the Dollar Tree Family Dollar sell out crap like they have for years? Hard times make strong people. And then long people make easy times, and easy times make horrible people. So it's just a constant cycle. Mary has a very good point. If we did not play this huge game of chicken, then we could put the money where it needs to be. But, you know. DARPA is like the bane of my existence, y'all. I'm just going to say that. Okay. I got a little bonus raccoon hide. Nothing special, just a bonus raccoon hide. He's pretty. He's a little bit than Arab raccoons. Nothing special, but, you know, I can always use them, you know, so I didn't mind that. I don't think, my foxtails may be in this. This is something that I wanted so bad, and I finally got one. It's a badger, mushroom, snake. This is a badger hide. Oh, he's so pretty. He is so pretty. I've wanted one of these so, like, we don't have these here, you know, this is in the wild blue yonder compared to us. So I want one of these, and I got it. I think y'all heard me talk about this a week or so ago. I got him. Oh, and he is so, that fur is so thick and nice and beautiful. Wow, that is some dense, pretty fur, man. That is nice. That is nice. Well, I am very, oh, he's so pretty on the bottom, too. He's just a beautiful. He's so soft. Well, if you've never pet a badger, let me tell you right now, they're very soft and smooth and very dense fur. Very nice. Very nice. I like him. That's probably my favorite thing so far. Okay, you stay there, buddy. You stay. Got a whole... No, my foxes aren't in it, but that's okay. Got a whole back end of a deer. No, I got a whole deer. Woo! Got a whole white-tailed deer. My foxes aren't my fox box. My fox box is not in it. This is an awesome garment quality white-tailed deer cape. A full deer cape. And it's very nice. Look how soft that is. That's so nice. Oh, that's so soft and nice. And whew. This is a full deer cape. Oh my gosh. Well, okay. My fox box is not in yet, but that's okay. It'll be here. It'll be here. But I got the tails off of all these old stoves. And I'm going to use them as massive drops for some big dream catchers. Ouch. I hit my elbow. But y'all, that badger's just gorgeous. This is just amazing. I guess the other box may be a day behind. Sometimes it gets split up. I don't know. This is beautiful. This is so soft. Look at that fur. Look at that fur. That is beautiful. I need a badger as a pet. They're gorgeous. I don't guess they really got the personality, though. That is so nice. So soft. Like, super soft. If everybody's wondering about my ring, this was a Christmas present a few years ago. It is sea glass collected on the coast between England and Scotland. Tumbled, and the lady made it out of reclaimed silver. She has a little store and business over there, and it was my Christmas present a few years ago. This guy's nice. This is what my fingers do after I weave. If you can see all the spots on my fingers after I weave, you see where I've worn the knuckles and the skin down, pulling on the strings. It's so sore, and it hurts. So it's difficult to weave a lot at one time. That badger's beautiful. I'm very tickled with that. I want my foxes, though. I want my foxes. I'm sure they'll get here in another day or two. Normally all together, but it may have got split up. Who knows? It could have got split up. I don't know. Okay. But the foxes are just the ends of the old stoles. And I'm going to make them be massive drops. And I just want to make really beautiful dream catchers that I can hopefully do. Like we got that spring planting. And David goes to that as favorite things every year. I just want to make something that people fall with at that event and take home. That's what I'm going for. I mean, because I craft all the time. If I can craft something that is really, you know, just absolutely going to stop people in their tracks, that's what I'm going for. Because now people, you know, especially some of the tribes, they find at the spring planting festival, they look for my stuff for the first couple of months of the year that the festival going on, and I really want them to pack everything away. So I'm trying to amp up what I make to where it has a little bit more selling power. I'm starting to shake. That's okay. It's just part of life. It happens. Can't help it. That's why I'm not like super upset with what's going on, because I understand. That's not where that goes. And I'm just like, yeah, let's just self-correct before my grandbabies get much bigger, because I don't want them struggling in their life like I have in mine. I don't want them doing that at all. I thought I had two that match. Do I not? That's not what I wanted. Oh, nails. You know, they're pretty, but Lord have mercy, they're a pain in the butt. Honestly, I did this yesterday without nails, and I can't say I did any better without nails. My hands are just shaking because I'm having a hard time controlling my muscles from this stupid disorder today. I don't shake like I used to, but I'm here to tell you I've had more breakthrough issues since that fire I care to talk about. And it was just stress. It was just stress hitting my sympathetic and central nervous systems and parasympathetic nervous systems, and it just did a shock and awe, and my body was like, derpy-dur, there we go. It happens. But the bruising that I had was really showing. I may have run into something. Who knows what all may have happened. But it sure got me. It looks really bad, y'all. Really bad. My nurse was very upset. And I was like, well, I don't know why you're upset with me. I didn't do it on purpose. I don't set out to do things on purpose like that. She was like, you've got to be more careful. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry. I was kind of running to see if my neighbors were dying, so wasn't hardly thinking about my belly or running into things or bruising. I kind of set that to the back of the mind for a moment. She was like, I understand, Elizabeth, but... And I was like, yeah. Okay, let's find another one here that looks remotely like that. Do that one. Do this one. And I think I'm layering these correctly, am I? I think I am. I wouldn't swear to anything. We'll hold it up next to it. I do have some porcupine needles. And we're going to attempt, I've never worked with them before. I've thought about it. But I've never before. And I've got some porcupine quills, and we're going to see what we can get into. I won't guarantee. Need one silver one. I won't guarantee it to turn into anything anybody would want to purchase, but we're going to see what we can do. I picked that up and dropped it. Oh, Lord have mercy. I'm also currently crocheting a very fat little fox. Okay, there's the second one. Yeah, Sal, I think that's exactly what did it. My sympathetic and central nervous system just went. It was just a culmination of a perfect storm. I think the badger, I'm just gonna let David probably offer the hide up, because I don't even know. He's the first one I've ever had, and I don't want to. I feel kind of disrespectful just carving them up. So, but the foxes, since he didn't get a whole bunch of foxes this year, I'm going to turn those into massive feather drops. I have it in my brain. I don't know if I can make it happen, but I'm going to try. Sometimes it doesn't always happen, but sometimes it does. And when it does, man, it's pretty. So that's kind of what I go for. I see it in my brain now if I can. Most of the time I can. Sometimes I can't. But the fun is trying. Okay, there's the second one. Let's get the jump ring and put this on. I'm going to call it, because my eyes are really bad right now, y'all. Yeah, Dave was like, guess I'll go to bed. He just got in, but... The spaghetti's in there. You can put it in the microwave and push the button on the microwave. It's not going to bother me. Lord have mercy. I made enough spaghetti to feed an army. find the break in the jump bead. You go right ahead and eat that up. You're not going to bother me at all. Well, I'm not doing anything super important. They're just watching me make jewelry. If I can get these open. I need my other pliers. There we go. Need my other pliers. Hook this one on. Where's my other? There it is. I need to get my bag of stoppers so I can get them all back on them so they won't fall off those pieces of paper. And we're going to crimp it just a little bit. Oh, did I overdo? I'm blind. Yeah, I overdid that one. I'm going to have to wait till I can see better, y'all. Anyway, this is what we're going for. I'm going to have to fix the jump ring on this one. This is what we're going for right here. This is what we're going for. These are pretty. I like the bone beads with the turquoise. I think those are really pretty. But I'll have to fix that jump ring tomorrow when I can see better. I don't know. I may make a bag. I don't know. I hadn't seen that one, Mary. I'll have to look. I do Epsom salt, but I also do that bentonite clay. I do the spray magnesium. Shut up, dog. Yeah, Sabrina's touched a few points of interest lately too, so. Okay, y'all, I'm gonna have to call it for today because my eyes are just not going to hang in there. So we made 3 very distinct sets of earrings. Some of them are outlandish ones, which I really like. So somebody will, I'm sure, find something they enjoy. And we'll try to pick up on this as my eyes and muscles correct a little bit and I have a little bit more control. I've not had it today after the migraines and all that I've been through. So I'm going to let you go for now, but try to have a wonderful evening, and as I get back to crafting, as my body lets me, I'll be back on. I'm not going to have to be going back and forth for a little while because my Angie is not feeling well and is coming in, so Mom can kind of keep an eye on her. So maybe if I have to sit here for a few days to get some stuff done instead of running back and forth. Yeah, I like the magnesium spray, Mary. It's really good. Y'all have a wonderful night, and I'll catch you probably tomorrow, guys, okay? Thanks for hanging out with me. I'll see you soon.